Welcome. Thank you for coming. Divine Creator, we ask that the light of highest awareness fill the minds and hearts of those who are open to your light. We ask that they be assisted and strengthened in their resolve to achieve peace using peaceful means. May their minds, their hearts, and their actions reflect the divine will to good for all. Comfort, strengthen, and support those who are in a difficult situation in their mind, body, or spirit. Bring confidence to them that your divine hand is at work in their life. Amen. And now at this time, we always begin our service with the recitation of the CCWH affirmations channeled by Reverend Michelle in the very beginning of our organization, coming from spirit to us to help us balance our body, mind, and spirit. The faith affirmation. I believe in the spiritual existence of myself as a perfect image of the divine creator. In this reflection that is my physical embodiment, I have faith in the supreme guidance of my soul for my balance, my needs, and my opportunities. Outside of myself, there are also perfect images, and nothing can delude my thinking otherwise. Acknowledging my faith in the omnipresence of my divinity, I hope for realization, awareness, and acknowledgement of the existence of the great I am within myself. And the charity affirmation. In understanding faith and knowing hope, I pledge my actions, my desires, and my thoughts to the performances of myself on the physical planes of the earth, to honor, to love, and to enlighten all that is a reflection of the divine outside myself, so that my perfection is imaged back to my Creator. So help me God. Well, welcome everyone. A couple of people came in late, and thank you for coming. This evening, I wanted to bring out the understanding of St. Germain, probably speaking again to the choir, because you probably have a good handle on this. However, since we are recording it and I would like more people to understand this, I'm going to talk about a little bit more expanded than just St. Germain, but he's the main individual spirit involved in this effort. St. Germain and his twin flame, goddess Portia, delivered to the people of God the dispensation for the seventh age and the seventh ray, which is the violet ray of freedom, justice, mercy, alchemy, and sacred ritual. It's for a new life way and a new energy. This evening, I'd like to cover just 4 general areas. First would be the chart of the individual divine self and in this relationship to our physical life. I'd like to present just a bit about what is the violet flame. Then I'll go into who is St. Germain. And then lastly, what relevance does this have? All this material, what does that mean for us today? So we're going to begin with the chart. Right. This is how each and every soul is constructed. The top figure at the very top of the picture is the emanating great light, is your individualized God self, the I am presence within. The middle figure is the mediator between the pure first cause, which is the I am presence, and the lower self, and actually down through the Christ consciousness. This is the Christ consciousness, and it's also called our higher mental body. This is your inner teacher, which overshadows the lower self, which the lower self is the soul evolving through the lower planes of matter using the vehicles of the etheric body and the mental body, the emotional or desire body, and the physical body. This is done to balance karma and fulfill the divine plan for the embodiment. The lowest figure is you or me, us, which is, you see, is surrounded. The entire picture, it shows that there is a tube of light emanating from the I am presence surrounding us, making this our own personal divine picture of ourselves in the presence of God. And the light is projected from the heart of the I am presence as your gift of life, your consciousness, and the gift of free will. Now, there is a silver, or sometimes called crystal cord, which actually is a stream of light descending to your holy Christ self and is said to be seated in the heart chakra. And the higher heart then connects to the lower heart. It just comes straight on through from your I am presence to your heart center. The dove of the Holy Spirit appears above the head of Christ, the Christ self. And when one puts on or becomes, emulates the Christ consciousness as Jesus did, the Holy Spirit comes upon them. And the words will emanate from the I am presence of your self. And that is the same that was said to Jesus. You will hear, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased," as stated in Matthew's. The universal Christ is individualized in each one of us and is the true identity of the soul. The Christ self mediates between our lower self and our I am presence, and that makes this our personal teacher, master, and prophet when we are in that, when we make ourselves available to that. Now, the violet flame. What is it? It's a ray or emanation of the Holy Spirit. This sacred fire transmutes the cause, effect, record, and memory of sin or error, or what we call negative karma. It is also called the flame of transmutation, of freedom, and of forgiveness. Now, God, the Creator, infuses all creations with the fullness of the emanation of creation. And each ray or emanation has its own purpose and aspect of creation. Obviously, there are 6 others. The 7th is the violet. It's the highest frequency, if you want to call it that, of all. Each ray has a lord, a great spiritual being known as a lord, to govern it and direct its use. This obviously is an entire field of study all on its own. Mm-hmm. So here is what I just want to share, is that the esoteric understanding, that there were a number of temples either entirely dedicated to the violet ray, or the material from that understanding incorporated into the knowledge of temples over time on Earth. And there is one on another planet, which we have been told about that exists, that I'll refer to a little bit later on. The Temple of the Violet Flame was on mainland Atlantis about 13,000 years ago. Now, it brings us to look at who is St Germain. St Germain was the high priest of the Violet Flame in that Atlantis incarnation. And here it is said that he sustained through his causal body, or I am presence, a pillar of fire, a veritable fountain of violet singing flame, which set men free from every binding condition of the body, mind, and soul. They achieved this by their own efforts because they offered invocations and they were practicing the rituals of the violet flame required of them at the temple. Now, those who officiated at the temple were schooled in the priesthood of the Order of Melchizedek at Lord Zadkiel Temple of Purification, which stood roughly where the island of Cuba now exists. Those who achieved the priesthood status were anointed by Lord Zadkiel himself with the words that you are familiar with, "Thou art a priest forever, after the order of Melchizedek." This priesthood combined the perfect religion with the perfect science. You want to change the slide, Brenda? Prior to the sinking of Atlantis, when Noah was warning the people and building his ark, the great divine director and St. Germain and his followers transported this flame, which is called the Flame of Freedom, to a safe place in the Carpathian foothills in Transylvania, where the work of expanding the flame continued. Eventually, the great divine director and St. Germain founded the House of Rákóczi, the Royal House of Hungary. And it is said that there in the etheric realm at that site is the etheric retreat of St. Germain and the divine director. Now, St. Germain's role here is very large. His whole being on the planet has had tremendous impact on humanity. Some of his embodiments were, he was the prophet Samuel, who was the last of Israel's judges and the first of her prophets. Samuel was a messenger of God's liberation of the seed of Abraham, which had been in bondage to the corrupt priests, and also released them from the Philistines who had assailed them. When Saul, who he had anointed king, proved to be an unfaithful servant to God, Samuel secretly anointed David as king. Fast forward, next embodiment was that of St. Joseph, the husband of Mary and father of Jesus, and his lineage was traced back to the house of David. It's interesting when you get the esoteric information, whether it just, especially with the great beings who have been here time after time, and how it connects lifetime to lifetime to lifetime, which, as we know, lifetimes are well planned out very far in advance in our history, so that we know our pattern of where we're going, what we want to transmute, and how we're going to proceed. I think that's a concept. I don't know how many people would understand that if you're not involved in metaphysics or in esoteric teachings. But I first learned that through Michelle when she said, "Oh, you laid out your lifetimes 5,000 years ago." At the time I thought, really? I was like, wow, that quite a feat. But then I realized, of course, I wasn't doing it in the physical when I was embodied. There was another whole level of myself doing this, but at the time that she told me, I hadn't quite arrived at that conclusion yet. Anyway, he was, after that, he was Saint Alban, the first Christian martyr in England. And there's a whole story about Saint Alban there. And it had to do with the Roman invasions and such of Christianity. In the 5th century, St Germain was embodied as Merlin, who was an alchemist, prophet, and counselor at the court of King Arthur. He worked with the king to establish the Round Table, which, in fact, was a mystery school for knights and ladies who were pursuing the path of personal Christhood. This was taught through the mysteries of the Holy Grail. In the 1200s, somewhere in there, he embodied as Roger Bacon, a philosopher, educational reformer, experimental scientist, and a Franciscan monk after he left his teaching position at the University of Paris. In the 15th century, he came back in embodiment as Columbus. As such, he believed he was led by God to restore the new heaven and new earth, referring to the prophecy of Isaiah. And he was certain that the land that had been already divinely chosen and that he was to find it. The literature said, even the Encyclopedia Britannica says that Columbus discovered America by prophecy rather than by astronomy. The 2 remaining lifetimes of his were very famous in our modern archives. We can trace back. It is said that he embodied as Francis Bacon in the 16th century. He was known as a philosopher, a statesman, an essayist, and literary master, and was called the greatest mind that was ever known in the Western world. He is known as the father of inductive reasoning and the scientific method, which we use today. He has also been known to be the one who penned all of the Shakespeare material. I think if you've read that, there's a wonderful book out about ciphers and how they discovered that. So I don't know how controversial it is, but being the level of soul that he is and his former accomplishments, I can quite believe that he was that myself. Now, he made his ascension in the light in 1684, it is said in the esoteric literature. And he went, when you make your ascension and you've made it through the earth plane, you go into the another place where you don't have to embody anymore. You've solved, satisfied any karma or any contracts that you had made to be here to help. But he did turn around and ask for a dispensation from the karmic board and others who I'm sure you have to approach to return to a physical form in the 18th and 19th century Europe, and where he was widely known as the Wonder Man. He had so many talents, and it was supposedly he was purported to even perform some miracles that people wrote about, and that writing is still available today. Of course, I looked up him up in Wikipedia, and of course, you hear both sides of it. There were always his detractors who thought that he was just one of those showmen who was running around Europe. But there were too many other personal documentations by very well-placed people in the society of that time that certainly would put that to rest were anybody caring to go back and look at their literature. He was truly as he said he was, or they said he was. At that point, he was known as Count St Germain. He was welcomed all over Europe and was probably in every royal household and major personage of that time was very familiar with him and was very acquainted, and they corresponded and met with them. At that point, he was trying very hard to establish a united state of Europe. That was around the the French Revolution, and he was trying to prevent that and have them go in a different direction. But he was unable to convince them that there was a better way of doing things, and they went down that path, and that was a disappointment to him. And because of that, they realized that that wasn't going to work, and that there had to be a new place for the flame of freedom to be fanned, to be able to reach out across the world. So along with the divine directors and other great light beings, they wanted the new world to be transformed by the light of God, and to have people living in accordance with God's will, and a plan for the new earth. And a little bit more on that in a minute, but there were two other light beings who strongly figure into this presentation. And I want to begin by mentioning St. Germain's twin flame, Portia. I kind of alluded to her in the beginning. Now, a twin flame is a soul's counterpart of the opposite polarity. I understand that at some point, this is my personal understanding, in a soul's evolution, it can make a decision to split into these two counterparts for added experience and to render service of unique nature, or even multiply the service available. However, it still is the same white, fiery body of the I am presence of that being, and not a separate entity. Portia is considered to be the goddess of justice and opportunity. She teaches mankind to hold the balance of Christ consciousness in the four lower bodies through the mastery of the four elements. And she considers justice to be this pivotal point between thought and feeling. The balance is between creative polarities of the masculine and feminine rays of deity, or in other words, between the yin and the yang. Now, while St. Germain was embodied, she remained in the higher realms of light. And when he finally made his final ascension, he reunited with her in those light realms where she had waited for him for so long. And it is said that he inscribed his beloved's name in the Merchant of Venice when he was embodied to give tribute to her. In 1939, Portia stepped out of a long period where she had been in the silence in the higher realms to be with St. Germain to assist him with his activities in the United States. The cycles of life have determined that the scales of justice be balanced in preparation for the Golden Age. with the appeal coming from humanity. Portia, who rarely spoke, we are told, stepped forward and spoke through a channel. And a portion of her talk is this, quote, "Men tremble, for they tremble in ignorance. Let them now receive comfort from justice, and know that although I am known as the goddess of justice, mercy holds my hand and will continue to do so. For Kuan Yin walks with me wherever I walk, and she sheds her radiance also. Upon the circle of justice is stamped the circle of mercy. Whenever you are called to dispense justice, also give mercy, but not in the quality unbalanced that would cause mankind to destroy themselves because of your lack of firmness, but deliver it in that perfect balance of spiritual understanding that gives to each man that portion of mercy properly mixed with justice that is best for him." So here I was thinking, I would expect that one should also ask for the gift of discernment and wisdom. That's my thought when it came to that point. So she continues, "Justice and mercy are the great caduceus of the seventh age and dispensation. The seventh ray of God's light of the violet flame is like a great fiery caduceus. It weaves as a garland of Alpha and Omega around the central altar of freedom's light." The word dispensation began in the beginning, and now it's being used again. So just my understanding is from the readings that I have done is that at some point, because humanity wasn't rolling along a lot faster in its evolution to the light, there was a dispensation given to use the violet flame, particularly the violet flame, to help transmute some of the karma. That's what you can do with the violet flame when you are dedicated to it and when you attend to it. So the dispensation was given from very high levels of spirit, from the karmic board and the Great White Brotherhood and other beings who are in spirit guiding us along, because we needed to progress faster. So this is one way that people can do that. So dispensation is used several times here today. Now, St. Germain is the great sponsor of freedom's flame and the Aquarian age. While he does govern this 2,000-year cycle, having taken it over from Jesus, who was the Lord of the sixth ray, there are other ascended masters who are serving to govern the destiny of America. Those are the 14 great beings from the god star Sirius, which is the Sirius is the seat of God government in this galaxy. They are here to assist St. Germain, whose destiny is to restore the original great creative plan of God for this earth. So St. Germain has many helpers, many great beings of light who are assisting him in he has an authority now to be governing the 2,000 years in the seventh ray. And apparently there were 6 other 2,000-year periods that would cover the other rays that were in existence. So this is his time to be attending to that. That's an office in spirit. He has to be helped in this effort because humanity is in great need of a great deal of help in making the transformations that need to be done. Now, I also know that from esoteric literature that it is said from these 14, the channeling from them said, the victory of America is not the victory of a nation. It is the victory of the 12 hierarchies of the sun in the 12 tribes of Israel, who have come forth from every nation to dip into the flame, who shall return to every nation from here to ignite the flame, and shall be unto all people the carriers of the fires of freedom. People of light in this country need to be much more active, much more alert, and much more vocal, because the information that Michelle had given a long time ago was that she had the body of humanity has a chakra system, which is not, we know about chakra systems, but the body of humanity has it. Now, where all the others are, I only remember 3. Maybe they're the 3 most important ones today, but the United States is the thyroid. It's the will of the world. How the United States goes, Michelle said, so will the world. Israel is the adrenal chakra. And the rest, the Arab world and the Mideast, is the root. And I think she did identify the other chakras, but those were the ones that stuck with me. And I know this is so important. And these great beings of light from Sirius are very clear that this country is the pivotal point, because this is where the victory has to be won. Now, these great beings of light are not going to be thwarted as long as there are light workers in action here. And they back us up. This backing has more authority than any one of us can imagine, or certainly verbalize if we can kind of perceive it. And the people of the United States need to be not only hopeful, but also to hold faith in this country as well. What needs to be restored here is faith in God, that God is behind us, that this country has this backing. If you remember, Patricia Cota Robles was talking about the angel of renewal and restoration, which I have talked about many times. This great being came forward from the great silence and is overshadowing the United States to help protect us, to help so that we would be in the position of making the great transformation that has to be made in the world, so that humanity can go on as great enlightened beings instead of the past as it has been presenting itself to us through our own actions, of course, from the past. Now, there's a lot of talk about incoming, so, over time, I've been hearing a lot of talk about incoming new souls who haven't been here before, who are bringing in a consciousness, and, we will have more strands of DNA, and there'll be new gifts given to us. But realize that unless I missed something somewhere, they still have to come into embodiment. And the very fact of coming into embodiment means they need great teachers, great information from the get-go, so that they can proceed in life to fulfill what they have been sent in to do, to bring this great, glorious time to fruition. So we, the people who are here and have volunteered to be here to serve the world at this time, it's so important that we remember that. And our mission is to help those who are still here, help the incoming souls, and hopefully we'll have some better educational system in place where spirituality will be taught as it needs to be taught, so they remain in the God consciousness, that they do not lose it. Too many times the world has, as St Germain had said in one of his writings that somebody published, that he went through so many cycles of the world where the golden age was there, and then people just lost sight of God. They went into the sensory world and got all tangled up there, and the society fell. Michelle had often said how many cycles of humanity that have been on the earth that no one knows about, because this is the pattern that we went through. It's the thyroid pancreas cycle, I think she called it, and where there are people who decide they're going to tell everybody what to do, and there are other people who are willing to let them do it, and of course everything tumbles from there. But the alignment with God and the alignment within our own divine self, to find that, to come to that, to have that gift that we have been given, it's so important. So when we got trained in higher knowledge and alignment and balancing, find out how to balance our higher, lower realities and all of the other things that we know, these are things that everybody needs to be able to get in touch with, because probably only the avatars may have come in fully enlightened. I think they did, the avatars at least. But even that, if you remember Jesus' pattern and how Casey unfolded that, he also had training. He went into the East, he studied with the masters there, and yes, he rose very quickly, and his natural gifts were very close to the surface, but he still needed that training. So we need to remember that for the new souls coming in, and while we are still going through this period. So we all have to work through that and in ourselves. And we all know that we've done that for many lifetimes. It isn't some new information for us. So the young people today are very confused. For many of them are, not everybody, but a lot of them are. And some of those have taken a darker view of life than they need to. And this has to be addressed spiritually, and hopefully we can get about that business individually, as a group, or through other groups. There are many light groups out there with the same mission that we have. So, are you aware that the consciousness of the goddess of freedom is and has been focused on the 19-foot armed freedom statue on top of the nation's capital? St. Germain commanded it be placed there in 1975. Now, if you are sensitive to energies, you might be able to perceive the thought form of her presence there even today. She is not leaving while this mission is still unfulfilled for the enlightenment. So there are many light forces working to bring us up and out of the past and restore true justice, freedom, mercy, and all the other God qualities that are needed, not only in this nation, but in the world. Now, you remember there's a goddess of liberty whose statue is in the New York Harbor. She inspired the early American patriots to find a new nation under God and to frame the Constitution based on the Brotherhood of Light's plan for the emerging Christ consciousness that would come to maturity. Now, this is on new soil under the direction of St. Germain, who is considered to be the God of freedom for the earth. So I hope that you understand that the magnitude of the work being done on higher levels, which is what we came here to support and to promote, because we are the boots on the ground. We are the grounding mechanism for light. We are the ones who have the free will to call for this light. We have the free will to use to turn consciousness in the direction of God's will and God's plan. We do that for ourselves, and we hopefully are in enough position to show other people how it's done. We are an example for the world. So I just thought, as I was going through the material, how many goddesses are involved in this, and they are bringing in the feminine aspect of God. So I hope that you notice, while St. Germain has the yang energy of freedom, Portia has the yin energy of justice. Well, there's so much more here that could be said about the importance of this, using the violet energy, the violet flame. It's looks like a flame. It's a violet energy, the energy of this high vibration of the Holy Spirit coming in. It was hard to sort all the material out. But I could just pause here for a minute and ask if anybody would like to make any comments about their knowledge of it or their experience with it. I certainly would enjoy hearing.
I just want to say that it holds together so beautifully that I almost hesitate to ask for more continuity, because it makes so much sense. And having a son who is deployed right now, and any message that he gets back is praying, please pray for world peace. Please pray for the peace. This is just, it makes so much sense. And I really is beautiful the way that you've pulled this together.
Well, I'm sure there's more to say. So,
but there is more to say, and I hope that you're going to give more talks on this. But there's so much to think about and to process from everything that you've said. It isn't that, a lot of us have all heard it before, but the way that you presented it is just makes, it's just so beautiful.
well, it was meant. I think I wanted to elevate the understanding of, because people talk about, using the violet flame to do this, violet flame to, and I just don't think the big understanding of it was there. I mean, any understanding is great, but the bigger, the more in depth, that it really is. It really is. Oh,
What happened?
I don't know.
Here, Brenda, can you see the screen?
Sorry, I was trying to share and it looks like Georgia is sharing. Georgia, can you stop sharing? Let me see if I can, Mary, I think you're the only one who can stop the sharing.
I didn't share in the first place, so.
I know, but you're the host and it looks like Georgia Wooldridge's screen is being shared.
Okay, let me see. I think she may have wanted to come on verbally.
And might have hit the wrong button.
Yeah, okay.
If you want to make me host, there we go.
Okay, good.
Okay.
All right.
Georgia, is there anything you wanted to say?
Yeah.
Oh, well, as long as I'm talking now, I'll yes, this has been absolutely wonderful. As some of you who remember me might know, I left the Northern Virginia area more than 20 years ago. But while I was there, I was deeply involved with the Church of St. Germain, and and I don't have any contact with that now, but it was wonderful to hear Mary talking about all of this. I totally related to absolutely everything that she said, and maybe some of the things that she said that I hadn't heard before. It's like I already knew them and knew those things. So it's just been an amazing experience, and I do hope that, of course, I will be coming back again for future meetings, and I would love to hear more of this. So thank you so much.
Oh, Georgia, it's so good to hear from you. I thought of you so often in this past 20 years and wondering how you were and what was going on. I tried to reach you once, but I think I wasn't quite aware of how to do that. So thank you for coming back and being part of
Sure.
it. Yes,
Yeah.
lots of fond memories there, Georgia.
I'm glad to be back. I don't know how to make my picture show here. That's what I was trying to do, not to take over the meeting, but just to try to. Anyway, I'm woefully inadequate where tech is concerned. So
Well, at least we hear you. So,
thank you.
all right.
Um, I'd like to make a couple of comments.
Sure.
Um, I've followed along and learned about St. Germain through the Summit Lighthouse that Claire Prophet and her husband were in leadership on for many years. They had a organization up on 16th Street in DC. And in fact, took out today a book that has a lot of information about St. Germain in it, called the St. Germain on Alchemy. And much of what you talked about today in terms of the founding of the country and the leadership at that time is referenced in that piece. Recently, I also tuned into what Patricia Cota-Robles, the Era of Peace information, has put out about the violet flame. It's similar to advocating that people call for the violet flame to enter into their reality, their day-to-day, to help purify a lot of the negativity that's in the world and to transmute our thoughts, our feelings, our intentions, so that they operate towards the highest good. When I was studying to practice palmistry, he wrote a book, St. Germain's book on palmistry, which was quite comprehensive and quite advanced, that there was nothing else like it in existence. It gave me a good handle on that. Master Hilarion also worked along with St. Germain in that regard. But today it is, there are tools online on YouTube, I think some very good tools that are meditations to tune into the violet flame. And they're not necessarily long or lengthy, but they would be good for people to use if you are in a circumstance where you're feeling overwhelmed by the negativity that you perceive or are experiencing, to call in the violet flame to assist you in lifting that and in transmuting that, so that you can go forward in the positive direction aligned with your spiritual blueprint. And it is very powerful. Other work has been done by those in the cosmos to help make it possible for us to receive the higher energies clearer and more directly, so that the violet flame along with it can now be utilized in a much more powerful way. So that would be some advice I would add. Let's practice some of this, since as light workers, when our light is enhanced, we offset the impact of those who are operating in the opposite direction.
Right. Well, you're right in tune. I'm going to lead us in a brief meditation of the vital flame. Thank you for sharing a lot. There I have a little bit more information at the end here because I think I can't seem to stop the information from coming into me. I kept finding more and more. But yes, this will be a very simple one, and we'll just go into our deep breathing. Just begin with deep breathing always, and always relax more and more with each in-breath. And everyone here on this screen present is a professional meditator, have done this many times. But for those who are not, you just begin with deep breathing. And with each out breath, just let go. Let go more and more of the world that is around you, your day that you're in, let go. And keep breathing in again. The breath is so important today. Breathing in the light of the greatest God force that you can, and this out, flushing it out. It will flush everything out. Breathing in the light. And letting the light circulate and then letting it out. And with each out breath, you're releasing more tension and releasing more obstacles in your path. You can breathe in through the top of your head. See it flowing around the body, and on the out breath, any emotional or any negative thinking, anything that is in your way is gone. Now, on your path that you are taking within, go to your heart. Find the pathway that takes you there. The center of your being, the place where the silver cord is attached directly from your I am presence. Find the room, the space, whatever it is you see as your heart. Stay there for a few minutes. Enjoy the vibration, the elevated feeling of great love. It's the heart of God coming to your heart. And there is your altar, the divine, the connection. The tabernacle is where that silver cord is attached. Kneel before the altar of your God presence. Thank God. Thank God for this time to do this meditation. Thank God for your presence in the world, for your life. And thank God for all of the gifts that you have. Thank God for your environment that you have placed yourself in so that you can be the light there, spreading the light of your heart, of the purity of the heart to everyone. Thanking God now for this opportunity to be infused deeply from the highest levels of the Holy Spirit with the energies that are at your command. You can leave here into a chamber where there are nothing but crystals of amethyst everywhere. You can find all sorts of violet there in different forms. And there is holy amethyst, And there is St Germain and Portia, the great beings of light. Call them in now. Bring them in because they're waiting to be called. Bring them closer, closer to you, and see the beautiful violet color surrounding you now. It stands in great love with your heart. And it now flows out through every possible particle of your being. It is now infused. It's flowing from the center of your being out. The divine heart, the heart of Christ, the heart of the Holy Spirit, now actively sending the violet, the ray of great achievement of perfection, clearing you, preparing you for freedom, preparing you for the fullness of justice and mercy. And as it flows through your entire being, you become the violet flame. You are the violet flame in action in you now. You are completely encased. And it flows to your aura. And those who can see you psychically would see nothing but a great, beautiful, glowing violet. And in the center, the heart of your great being. And this now is able, through this great clearing of energy through the violet flame, is able to go out now and shed itself upon the world. Join with others who have the violet flame within them. Join and become this massive, massive flame of violet that now is traveling at warp speed across the country, going, infiltrating every corner, every space. See the United States as a crystalline violet color. It's now elevated its finest form. It's infused in every part of the government. It's infused in every state. It's infused in every possible place where it can serve the light. See it now. See it all possible. And as this great country becomes the gigantic, crystalline, violet flame, it stands for freedom, for justice, for mercy, and for the love of God to emanate everywhere in the world. And the planet becomes now the violet flame. I am the violet flame in action in me now. I am the violet flame. To light alone I bow. I am the violet flame in mighty cosmic power. I am the light of God shining every hour. I am the light of God shining like the sun. I am God's sacred flower shining on everyone. And now we know that the violet that is penetrating every part of your being has cleansed, has perfected you, and can stay there as the flame beneath all of your activities from now on. And remember to claim it. I am the violet flame. And now, bring back with you to your everyday world as you gently returning to your heart. Always go back to the heart and bow before the altar of your God, the God presence within you, thanking God for this opportunity, for those who have assisted you greatly. We have great help from this. The love that surrounds us is phenomenal. And the love that you are is phenomenal. And bring it back now, being rested and refreshed, and certainly elevated in every possible way from anything that has disturbed you, bothered you, or afflicted. Is gone. It's been washed away. You can handle it now. You're coming back to your seat, knowing all is well. And when you're ready, open your eyes. I wanted to end with something before I get to our ending slides that we usually have. I found this in a book that I've had for quite some time. And it is about, there were discourses of the masters on the United States, on America, it says, doesn't call it United States. Use the law of the violet consuming flame to control all in your world, and the law to consume at least 2/3 of America's discordant creation. And I thought, this is an old book, but I'm telling you right now, it belongs in our world. Then you are the one with the dispensation when you are calling. Remember that you've been given this. You can call for the consuming of all America's discord and impurity, but only that which the cosmic law allows, of course. If we were to consume 2/3 of it, then 2/3 of the people would be definitely awakened and would stand for constructive activities that would enable this country to move on. And if these things that are being concerned, that people are concerning them with, are not constructive, be aware that the cosmic law will not permit them. They will not be supported. So I'm sure you realize that, whether it be in your own world or whether it be in the government or in your own businesses, it matters not. If a thing is discordant, we cannot use our power to protect it. That was from the higher realms. Will not support it. Therefore, when this nation needs light at this time, it needs your love, your peace, your quiet, your purity, and your demand that the human within the nation be consumed, no matter who it belongs to, the human element that is so discordant, in other words. And in that you will assist many life streams within the nation to be lifted at this time to a strength in the light whereby they can go into this new cycle. The violet flame needs to be played all over the earth. And that which abides here will either be purified or it will not stay. So it goes on to talk more about the purification process that is involved in the violet flame. And I know that Georgia was mentioning being concerned, and so was Gloria, that being aware of the decrees that were put out. These are still powerful. I find them to be very powerful. I don't know where my little booklet is, but there is a little booklet with them in with the decrees to the violet flame. And there is I alluded to there is another great being. It's Omritas, Omritas. He's ruler of the violet planet. Now, the violet planet I wasn't told where the violet planet is, but I assume it's in this, our galaxy at least. And this being has channeled something that said his planet was pretty much in the same position our Earth was at one time. But because of their dedication to the violet flame, they were able to turn things all together over and are in a peaceful state today because of that. And he is so concerned for us, and his being, I guess his great soul, his great I am presence is so great that he also has asked for a dispensation for us. And he said, if you would but dedicate to appealing to the violet flame for 10, well, I think they wanted 15 minutes a day. There are decrees to say, you just read them. You don't have to memorize them, you just read them. If you could do that with heart behind it, with dedication, with really a need to really activate this, he will increase whatever you're doing, whatever you normally would get, he will increase it by tenfold. He had appeared at when the prophets were having something in the mid-70s, I think. Was close to around 1975, 6. In that plan, they were having a class in freedom from the Summit University here. And Amritas came into their class, and he said he was sending in balls of violet flame. And he said, I'm sending them in. And they were in Washington, D.C. somewhere. And they said Elizabeth, and I guess it was just Elizabeth at that time, and her follower, and those who were training with her, all saw over the nation's capital great big balls of violet flame flying around in the air. And he said he can do that again when he's asked to do that. These are very powerful, apparently, balls of energy that can be sent in, but we need to be consistently asking for this kind of intervention. Remember, we do need to ask. We have the free will, and that's what everything is dependent upon. The use of our free will as human beings to request. So it's very important that we do that. And he is said to return to Earth to probably check up on us. I don't know. The third of every month. And they said, if you just look to the horizon when the sun is rising, there is a violet color that comes out, then he will be there, and he would be very powerfully there for you. So I was thinking, if anybody has the notion they might want to do some violet flame work at that time of the month, that might be worthwhile doing. I haven't done it yet, but I just found out about it. So anyway, I was just hope some of this will, I kind of excite you to really get more involved in this work. And we might want to come together on this and do sessions just of the violet flame in the future, because I think it's very worthwhile. A group of us certainly would be very powerful doing that. So we'll consider that if you are willing. So thank you for attending, and I hope you will go, if you haven't been, to our website and look at our offerings that we have. And while you're there, you might consider making a donation to our organization. PayPal button is right there in the front, right up in the top right, to make the donation. And you can do it just one time, or you can do a small donation every month. That would be nice. Or if you're in the business of having a lot of money, you could give us a lot of money every month. We're welcome that. We do have our expenses, and we could expand if we had more. All of the people in our organization are volunteers. There isn't anyone given a dime for their service. This organization has been functioning like that for many years, but you know, the new world is sometimes asking us to ante up some money for other help that we might be able to get. So we can always use that. Thank you very much for that. And we'll end with our lovely, if you would imagine that we are meeting in person, and we join hands and sing our final hymn that has been part of our organization from the very beginning. Let there be peace on earth.